So I just seen a article saying that Richardson Hitchins versus Teofimo Lopez makes more sense at 140 now. Obviously, that makes more sense because both guys are actually fighting at 140 compared to Teofimo and Shakur Stevenson, where you've got Teofimo who's now fighting at 140 and Shakur Stevenson who's really a 135er. Teofimo is a 135 or 140 pound fighter. He is, because he is quite thick. Pause. He has got some meat on his bone. Pause. Huge pause. But he's not like a super skinny. He's not like a small. He's not like Javante Davis. Like, he's bigger than Javante Davis. Even a Shakur Stevenson isn't even that much smaller than Teofimo Lopez. He's a bit more leaner, a bit more thinner. But in terms of height, they're about the same, I believe. That being said, Teofimo Lopez and Richardson Hitchins. Richardson Hitchins is a true 140 pound fighter. Again, undefeated, super high IQ boxer. Similar to Shakur Stevenson in a lot of ways, where you could arguably say, I was going to say the defense first. I think Shakur is a lot more defense first than Richardson Hitchins, but both guys are high IQ boxers, and it's not like Richardson Hitchins is a brawler. You know what I mean? He very much is a defensive boxer, and those would cause problems for Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is a counterpuncher himself, and I imagine that Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson will be a chess match. Richardson Hitchins versus Teofimo Lopez would equally be a chess match, and it would be a fight that, honestly, would be probably quite a boring fight to the casual viewer, because it'd be a lot of chess match stuff, a lot of feints, and a lot of setups. Because that's the type of boxers they are. They're both high IQ boxers, and they're good enough boxers to understand that they're not gonna just step in recklessly and leave themselves open for something. They're good enough to understand that, which is why that fight would probably be quite a boring fight to the average viewer, but to me would be a really interesting chess match. But yeah, that fight, of course, it makes more sense because, like I said, both guys hold belts at 140, and Richardson Hitchins largely feels like the forgotten man at 140 because there's been a lot of talk at 140 around the likes of Gary Antoine Russell, Subriel Matias, Keyshawn Davis is now at 140, Teofimo and Shakur, of course, fighting at 140 as well. In that mix, Richardson Hitchins sort of been forgotten about, and that's a shame because he's a really good boxer. But no doubt, you know, I don't know what his promotional situation is looking like. He said he was a free agent. Eddie Hearn didn't seem to like that, so maybe they're still under contract. Maybe they're still going to be working with each other. But hopefully that outside the ring stuff gets sorted, and we can see Richardson Hitchins back in the ring and back again fighting the top names at 140, because that's what we all want to see. That's what I'm sure Richardson Hitchins wants, and I'm no doubt there's guys at 140 that want those big unification bouts, because Richardson Hitchins fought George Kambosos, and I believe, I can't remember if he was a headliner for that. If he was a headliner for that, he done decently out of that, and I think he sold a decent amount of tickets. So if he's a guy that can shift tickets, potentially, if it's Subriel Matias can get through his next fight and retain his championship, then that's a big fight. Matias, even if that's in Puerto Rico, because Subriel Matias is a big star in Puerto Rico, has been beaten in Puerto Rico a few times, actually. I think both of his losses, or at least one of his losses, came in actually in Puerto Rico. So if he was to fight Richardson Hitchins, he would definitely lose again. But yeah, there's options there for Richardson Hitchins. And yeah, to respond to that article, of course, Richardson Hitchins v Teofimo Lopez does make more sense, but boxing's a strange sport. So yeah, we'll see what's next for both guys. Let me know who you'd want to see Richardson Hitchins fight next. And yeah, let me know in the comments below. Another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.